Hello everyone, welcome to our show. This is a welding table slash cart that Dad and I made. We're going to get it cleaned up and then walk you through it.
Okay, so this is our power supply. So this is hardwired in, and it's just a plug-in for the cart. So what we have here is 60 feet, which means to the front or the back of the shop, we can park a tractor, we can park a truck, and we can get all the way around it. We also put larger wheels on because nothing that we have is concrete. We have a dirt floor in the shop. This is, of course, could be called grass. We have a dirt driveway that's not exactly level. So we wanted big enough wheels that we could roll it around and a long enough cord so that it's portable. Okay, so I'm what you might call a frugal person.
Cheap!
Bless you, Joey. So when we built this, we wanted to scrounge as much as we could. So the only thing that we actually paid money for is this top plate, which is 2 foot by 4 foot by 3/16 of an inch, and this plate, which is just 1/16 of an inch, 2 foot by 4 foot. Having large chunks of scrap plate is just something you don't see very often. With the bottom one, I probably could have pieced together, 2 or 3 pieces, but I really didn't want to. You want to slide things back and forth. It kind of gets cluttered under there. So, but other than that, everything here is scrounged. All this angle iron you see, except this front piece, because I didn't want such a big lip for, taking stuff out of here. But all this angle iron is bed frame. This isn't angle iron. This is actually 1/2 inch by 2 inch tubing, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But the thing about using bed frames is bed frames aren't mild steel. Bed frames are actually a much harder steel, and the reason for that is, so you got kids jumping on the bed. If it was mild steel, over time it would just keep bending a little until you have a saggy bed. So this is actually, bed steel is actually quite a bit harder than mild steel, and what that means is it will not weld properly to mild steel. It's maybe half the strength, maybe even less, but for what we're doing here, there's a lot of weld on here. I believe in the strength of it, but that's something to keep in mind. In fact, when we when we talk about different things we want to do with some different trucks and that, and we started talking about, okay, well, we could weld this mount or that onto a truck frame. Truck frames are not mild steel, and if you ever want to demonstrate that, just try to run a hole saw through a truck frame, and it'll just kill that hole saw. So when you weld mild steel to a truck frame, that is a questionable weld always. And even when you weld, if you got a crack in a truck frame and you just weld it together, unless you know the composition of the frame and you get a welding rod or a welding wire that's comparable to it, that is a questionable weld. So that's just something to keep in mind. I don't know if I'm going to put all that truck frame crap in there. It might be a little too pretentious and too off subject, you know what I mean?
Yes, the visionary.
The visionary. Okay, so another thing that was quite important to us was, because it's only a 2 foot by 4 foot table, if we had something bigger that we wanted to lay across it, we wanted to be able to clear the top quite easily. So what we've done, we can unscrew the regulator and we can pull it out and set it beside the cart, strap it to the cart if we're using it. And this vise, we bolted it down and then we welded the nuts on the bottom so that we can just quickly zip it off. The handle, that was probably the most awkward thing for us. And the reason is because the only place this thing's comfortable in the shop needs the welder at this end, and it needs the turn wheels at this end. The turn wheels have to be on the same side as the handle. Anybody who has ever use the shopping cart knows, when they're empty, they turn really nice, but when they get full of groceries, they can be quite hard to turn, especially on rough terrain. But if you go to the other end of the cart and pull it, it's a lot easier. So the handle has to go where the turn wheels are. And this gave us a real headache for the handle, because if we were to come right around, even if we were to keep it short in here, we would have a lot of trouble getting the welder in and out of this unit. And we also needed to keep the handle below the surface, again, for putting anything bigger on here. So this is basically all we have for a handle. Now, this thing's not that heavy. It's pretty easy to move with just this one handle. But if I was doing it again, or if I had a different shop, I would put the welder at that end, and I would put a full handle on here, and that would make this thing a lot easier to manage. Okay, that's that. So I guess now let's go down to the next level.
So we built this cart with a 400-pound weight in mind, but some of our friends didn't think the wheels were going to be strong enough to support that much.
So give it a wiggle. So yeah, us together, we weigh 400 pounds, mostly Joe, but this is more strength than we need for what we're doing. If you need more strength, if you want to build a table to carry more weight, you just have to get better wheels. So, but this is good enough for us.
We built this area down here to fit a generator that can power the welder, some tools, some welding equipment, and the plasma cutter. That gives us total independence from the shop. Okay, so now let's start looking at what's underneath. Oh, that's Randy's Ranger.
Okay, so this is the underside of the top.
Oh, he left his dog behind.
Forgot the dog. Oh, we got a free puppy. Oh, you're a good boy.
Oh. Randy!
Hey, you forgot your dog. Get him up.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the underneath of the top side. And all this bracing and this channel that runs, or this tubing that runs all the way around, is literally a coffee table. It was a steel and glass coffee table that was 2 feet by 4 feet. And we decided that that was going to be strong enough for our edge. So this is 1/2 inch by 2 inch. This is 3/8 inch by 3/4 of an inch, and square tubing. And then it's got more tubing here. And then for some reason they went with like this T stuff here. Maybe it's aesthetic from the top when you look through the glass. I don't know. We had to cut a circle out of it so our gas bottle could come through, and then we welded in this flat bar just to get our reinforcing back. Okay, so underneath this support here is so when you drop the bottle down, you know, it's just because this is thinner. This is only 1/16 of an inch. Yeah, so we welded this brace in here just so when you drop the bottle, it's got some support. Okay, so Joe, can you pull that chair out of there?
Oh.
Okay, so for the front wheels, these are wheelchair wheels, and we welded them all up, and then we had to cut them all out and do it again, because you would think that this is square to this, but it's not. So if you see, that's actually a little bit of an angle there. Okay, so these back wheels, they're from a jogging stroller. So these are bicycle wheels, and like Joe said, a lot of people said they're not going to be strong enough, but you got to remember, adult-sized kids, teenagers, get on these bikes, jump off curves, bounce them downstairs, and they're a lot stronger than people think. The one downside to this is the axle isn't supported on the other side like it is on a bike with forks. So technically you could bend this wheel up if you put too much weight on it, but like I say, Joe and I can rock around and jump on that, and it doesn't seem to have any problems. Now, as far as the frame goes, we literally cut the frame off of the jogging stroller. These actually swiveled, which was nice, because they were at quite a different angle on the stroller. And getting them square and level, that was actually really hard. And now let's move on to the brakes. So this is a brake. Joe, go on the other side there. And so just put the palm of your hand on that and push it down. Okay, so now that's a lot easier with your foot, but that just goes down and it just grabs on the tire on both sides and it stops the tire, so that if you're, you know, working on top of this, there's no brakes on the front, but it definitely makes it a lot more stable. Now, this is just a rubber stop, so when you take the brake off, we just cut a little chunk of tire, both sides, you know, and it makes a nice satisfying thunk instead of a really loud clang. So let's tip this right upside down, okay, Joe?
Okay.
Okay, so this brake, like Joey had a little trouble with his hand, but it's made to use with your boot, which makes it quite a bit easier. We made it as short as possible. We didn't want, you know, something you come along and stub your shin on, and because that could really hurt. So, but yeah, when you want to take it off with your foot, it's just nothing. Ooh, it's kind of clangy when it's upside down, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, so now these brakes, the way this spring system works, this is, I don't know what it's actually called. I call it an over center spring. So what happens is, as you pivot on this point, when you get about halfway through its travel, the springs are at their maximum stretch. That's when the spring is longest. So if you go over center, the spring gets shorter, so it actually pulls the brake in, and that's what holds it onto the wheel. And then when you go back up, it gets to that high center part, and once you get over that center, it pulls it back in, but this time it's pulling it down. So probably the most common place you'll see this setup is kickstands, motorbikes and pedal bikes. Like, it's just it's a system that works really well, and seemed to work really good for us.
Tell them where we got the springs from.
Oh, those are bed springs from a hospital bed. I'm trying to find that funny weld. Where'd that funny weld go? I can't see it.
What funny weld?
Remember, I couldn't see because I didn't have my glasses.
What about this?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think
Isn't that it?
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't support anything.
So this weld here that just goes off into nowhere, that's what happens when I try to weld without my glasses. So if you wear glasses, wear your glasses. That's my advice. So, and again, other than the center support and the corner one for when the bottle drops, there really is, and this is only 16th, but we never put anything that heavy in here. It seems to be fine. Okay, Joe, take me in.
Have a good one, everyone.
Mush! Hurry up, Joe. My coffee's getting cold. Okay, that's good, Joe.
How was that?
That was good.